Okay, so now let's get into it. What are the top 5 primary conditions that can link to common secondary conditions? We're gonna go through this list, really dive into how these relate. So the first one is PTSD. If you have a primary condition that is claimed by PTSD, there are many secondaries that you can actually follow through with. The top ones are sleep apnea, GERD, IBS, and high blood pressure because they're all linked to stress from PTSD. And also, that being said, PTSD is a very common claim to have, and it does cause and trigger a lot of these secondary issues because it's related to mental health. Your gut biome is not just your gut biome on its own, it is connected to your brain. And when you're stressed out, you might have stomach issues, which leads to IBS and also leads to GERD. So again, this one's pretty straightforward. If you have PTSD, you are most likely living in a life of stress. It doesn't mean that you are going to have these issues, but if these issues do come up, you can claim them as secondaries to your PTSD. All right, so number 2 is actually gonna be orthopedic injuries as your primary, and secondary is gonna be back pain, knee pain, or sciatica. Having a specific knee, ankle, or foot injury can lead to a different gait and posture change, which will affect your lower back and also cause sciatic nerve pain in both legs. Now, the key word here is I said both legs because the back pain actually will cause sciatica in both. It's not necessarily just one knee injury. It is pretty common to have one knee injury start to affect your other knee because of the gait change as well, not just your back. But over time, these do happen. I actually had this exact thing happen. I was having sciatic nerve pain in one leg and I started having it in the other one, but also I have back injury that's claimable and sciatic nerve pain on one leg. So eventually my other leg started having the same kind of tingly pain that I had about 5 years ago. So I actually went back and claimed it. All right, so getting into number 3, we're actually gonna be talking about tinnitus as the primary, headaches, and anxiety as the secondary. Having a ringing in your ears can cause a headache, it can cause a migraine, it can cause anxiety because it might be constant. I have this in my left ear, it is pretty much constant, it is up and down, and sometimes it's noticeable and sometimes it's not. I can't tell specifically it causes me a headache, but it is sure as hell annoying. But the trigger of having the ringing in your ears falls under mental health with insomnia, not sleep apnea, because that's actually a breathing condition, so just understand that. Okay, so the 4th one on our list is actually gonna be primary condition of chronic pain and the secondary conditions of depression and anxiety. So having chronic fatigue syndrome does fall under the PACT Act, so people can get rated for this very easily from having a lot of time in the Gulf War and spend time overseas with chemicals and bad conditions, but it doesn't mean that they saw combat. Now again, I'm relating combat as PTSD. There is combat PTSD and other types of PTSD, but mental health conditions as an umbrella is gonna be the secondary to chronic fatigue syndrome. Having a limited mobility in your life, a change of lifestyle, not being able to do sports is very much warranted that you will have mental health issues later if you have to change your life entirely. So chronic fatigue syndrome often does lead to a mental health condition or problem later, especially long-term. Okay, so the last one that we're gonna talk about on our list is sleep apnea as a primary condition and secondary condition being depression, heart disease, or high blood pressure. So sleep apnea can cause a